A day of fresh record as Nifty scales past 22,160 mark. Strong gains seen in pharma, FMCG as well as financials, while IT and realty lag.
Quess Corp rallies 11% as the company announces a three-way demerger. All three businesses will exist as separate listed entities, with shareholders getting one share of each demerged entity for every one Quess share held. Management tells CNBC-TV18 with this demerger, the conglomerate discount should get removed, due to which the company has suffered in the past.
Novartis India surges today after the parent company announces a strategic review of its shareholding in the listed entity in India. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that Dr. Reddy's is in the race to acquire Novartis AG's stake in Novartis India.
Sula falls 6% after a large trade sees almost 14% equity change hands, while CRISIL rallies 8% on good Q3 numbers. Balrampur Chini too rises as the company announces a 2,000 crore rupee foray into manufacturing of polylactic acid, and input used to make biodegradable plastic.
Paytm parent 197 Communications to shift its nodal account from Paytm Payments Bank to Axis Bank via an escrow account for settlement of the merchant payments, while PB Fintech gains after receiving IRDAI's approval to upgrade its license from direct to composite insurance broker. Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar. With me, as always, is Pavitra Parekh. So, Pavitra, we have got off to a very good start for this particular week after the kind of volatility and nervousness that we had seen last week. And today, there's no letting down of Nifty 50 because it's breaking its own record in the trading session. But we've had a fair bit of volatility as well in the trading session. In fact, a swing of about 130 points. But that has really not impacted the kind of momentum that Nifty 50 is on. So breaking its record, and it has been a record smashing day, not too far away from the record levels at lunch hour as well. Let's take a look at Sensex, which is up about 340 odd points at the moment. Bank Nifty is in line with the other key indices, over 0.5% up, and it's the mid-cap universe which is outperforming the key indices with a slight margin. When we really look at a lot of themes really playing out, actually nothing else matters because Nifty 50 is being buoyed by many sectors, and there are very handful of counters really on the downside with minor cuts, and especially stands out is the life insurance companies like SBI Life as well as HDFC Life. When we talk about advanced decline ratio with a broad-based participation in the market, that is showing a lot of resilience and strength, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, we're off to a very, very solid start today, and across the board participation coming through as well. Take a look at the mid and small cap indices because those are also doing very well in trade. If you look at the mid cap index, it's up almost 0.7%. So, just building onto the gains we've already seen. The PSU pack, which, was a little bit tentative last week, once again coming back in full force. So that is the sector which is seeing the, highest force right now in terms of the move. So some of the stocks which are doing well, it's the pack which has already rallied a lot. RVNL, Railtel, Ircon, this entire railway pack. You have other smaller companies like SJVN doing very well. You have an Orient Green. These are all companies which have had a heady run, and they're just building onto those right now. Then there's a lot of news flow as well, so individual stocks like a Balrampur Chini, CRISIL. So there's a lot of action beneath the surface there as well. On the downside, there's not too much. You have the real estate pack, which is a little bit soft today. And apart from that, you have Reliance and HDFC, which are, relatively a little bit soft. But the market holding up in very good form. Let's actually kickstart the show by talking about some of these big moves that we're seeing. Quess Corp is clearly one of the stocks of the day. It's up about 10% after it announced a demerger into 3 different entities to improve the focus on business verticals. So Sonia is here with all of the details on this one. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. Quess Corp is the big stock in focus. Now, the company has announced a demerger into 3 entities to improve the focus on the business verticals. Now, this demerger will help create pure play verticals to help with the business positioning. Basically, it is in order to simplify the corporate structure of the company due to independent scaled platforms, and this will also entail an optimal capital allocation strategy. The demerger will take about 12 to 15 months' time. Now, this will involve 3 demerged entities: Quess Corp, Digitide Solutions and Blue Spring Enterprises. Quess Corp has 70% of the consolidated revenues, Digitide Solutions has 14% and Blue Spring Enterprises is 18% of the consolidated revenues. Now, Quess Corp is into workforce management, Digitide Solutions is into InsurTech and HRO businesses, and Blue Spring Enterprises is into facility management and industrial services. Motilal Oswal put out a note this morning where they say that this demerger is beneficial both to companies as well as to investors. They have a neutral rating with a target price of 560 on the stock, and there is an investor meet on the 21st of February in order to provide more details to both investors as well as shareholders. So more details are waited then, but for now it seems like a win-win strategy both for the company as well as its shareholders. Back to you.
We expect our staffing business to grow between 17 and 18% over a period of time on a larger base. The other 2 businesses will grow in excess of 20% or less. In Blue Spring, we expect our business to grow about 4 times GDP growth rate. I wouldn't venture into guessing what the market would price our shares at. But I would want to say that we had suffered from a conglomerate discount in the past. We expect that to be removed. We would think that we have a 100 basis point improvement opportunity in Blue Spring, and we'll go up from 5 to maybe about 6% or so. Our Digitide business, we are in the high teens right now. So as we grow rapidly in that business, our priority is to ensure that we stay in the high teens there and not give ground to growth while we grow, and reduce margin. In workforce management, it is a more competitive business because India is a very price-sensitive market in the general staffing space. We expect to improve margins there by about, let's say, between 20 to 40 basis points. So that's sort of the narrative on margin improvement.
All right, let's talk about the pharma space, and a lot of action over there and is doing well in trade as well. Let's talk about Novartis, which launches a strategic review of its India subsidiary, and sources tell CNBC-TV18 that Dr. Reddy's may look at picking up Novartis AG's stake in the Indian subsidiary, which has been put on the block. Vivek Iyer, my colleague, tells us more about it. Vivek.
Well, that's right. Earlier today we reported about how sources have indicated to us that Dr. Reddy is leading the race as far as acquiring Novartis AG's little over 70% stake as far as BSE-listed Novartis India is concerned. We reached out to Dr. Reddy, we reached out to Novartis as well. Dr. Reddy didn't comment on this particular story to us, but to the exchanges, they have clarified that at this point of time, there is no material development as yet that could go ahead and prompt a response from them. However, what we've actually understood from our sources is that Dr. Reddy is quite keen, in fact, quite aggressively pursuing the entire stake. We also understand that in order to get that complete control of Novartis India, they are looking at offering a slight control premium or a price that is slightly above the current market price of Novartis India. We also understand that in the past, Dr. Reddy and Novartis have actually done quite a few distribution agreements together, and they have had strategic partnerships as well in the past, which has worked in favor of Dr. Reddy, which has made Dr. Reddy quite positive as far as acquiring this particular stake is concerned. Now, coming to Novartis India, like we mentioned, we did reach out to them multiple times on Friday, post which the company put out a release to both journalists as well as to the exchanges, indicating about how Novartis AG is going to do a strategic review of the little over 70% stake that they hold in Novartis India. So it's going to be interesting to see, what is the final outcome of this particular development. Novartis also responded to our queries. They're saying that while the strategic review is being undertaken, at this point of time, no final decision has been taken as yet in order who will be getting that particular stake. Interestingly, Nomura has gone ahead and responded and reacted to our development as well. What they're saying is, number one, they've quoted our story. They're saying, given the past relationship between Dr. Reddy and Novartis, Dr. Reddy may pursue the acquisition of Novartis stake in Novartis India quite aggressively. They believe that this acquisition will help expand Dr. Reddy's portfolio in India, and Dr. Reddy in the past has stated his intent to grow and pursue inorganic opportunities in the Indian market and also grow its domestic focused portfolio.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for getting us all of the details. Very interesting story. But moving on now to Paytm. This one is gaining in trade now. It's actually hit an upper circuit today after the company partners with Axis Bank for escrow accounts, replacing the nodal account earlier held with Paytm Payments Bank. So Ritu is here with more on this. Ritu.
A small breather for Paytm Payment Bank, with the Reserve Bank of India extending the deadline for it to wind up all of its banking activities by 15 days. So Paytm Payments Bank has been given time until the 15th of March to stop all banking activities, including wallets, fastags, etc., which is revised from February 29th earlier, to ensure that customers are able to transfer activities to other banks without much disruption. RBI also released the much-awaited FAQ on customer queries with regards to what happens to various banking services, wallets, fastags, merchant payments, etc. after the 15th of March. Now, separately, Paytm has announced that it has moved its nodal escrow account to Axis Bank from Paytm Payments Bank to allow its merchants to continue to use the Paytm QR, POS or sound box for accepting payments. But keep in mind, this will only help those merchants which have bank accounts linked with other banks. For those merchants who have Paytm Payment Bank as their bank account linked to the POS or QR, and that is about 10 to 15% of Paytm's merchant base of close to 4 crores, they will still have to move their account to another bank to continue to use Paytm services. Now, Bernstein believes that RBI hinting at merchants being able to use Paytm QR terminals as long as it is linked to a non-Paytm Payment Bank account is incrementally positive, as is the extension in the cutoff date to the 15th of March. But the fact that RBI FAQ provided no explicit exception for a bulk transfer of wallets and fastags to another bank is a negative. Citi said that with the Axis Bank partnership, it will be business as usual for 85 to 90% of Paytm's merchant accounts which are not linked to the bank. And it also noted that FAQs do not directly address bank partnerships with Paytm, but the nodal account partnership with Axis likely paves the way for other partners and is overall positive for ongoing business.
All right, thanks Ritu for that. And on that note, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But when we return, we'll get you excerpts from the exclusive conversation we had with Bhupen Wakankar, who's the Director, Global Trade of Amazon India. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch. Let's bring you a very interesting conversation now. My colleague Shivani spoke with Bhupender Wakankar, Director of Global Trade at Amazon India. In a wide-ranging discussion, Bhupen spoke of Amazon's India's ambitious export goals and how this could really benefit markets like India. Take a look.
It's really an exciting story. So let me start with just how it all started. Right, 2015 is when the program was initiated. We started with a very small seller base, only about 100 sellers. Right? And over the last 8 years, we've grown to over 1.25 lakh exporters who've been on the Amazon Global Selling Program. Right? And the short summary is in 2020, when Jeff Bezos was here in Delhi, the program was in its 5th year, and we had said that by the time we reached the 10-year mark, we would do $10 billion in cumulative exports. And as a result of sort of that focus, what we saw was by about halfway into that pledge, by mid-2022, we felt that we are definitely going to cross $10 billion very easily. And so in mid-2022, we said we will double the goal and do $20 billion by 2025. And as you mentioned, we are very happy to report by 2023, which is 3 years since the pledge was made, we've already reached the $8 billion numbers. Right? So we are quite very happy with the progress that has happened. The first 5 billion took us about 7 years, and the last sort of 3 billion from 5 to 8 took us about a year and a half. So that's sort of the acceleration that we are starting to see in the ecosystem, and with the sellers participating in a more disproportionate manner.
So by 2025, we expect 20 billion?
20 billion is what we want to hit over the next 2 years. So 8 going to 20 is a very aggressive challenge, but we are all up for it.
If I may ask, we just spoke that, there are manufacturing hubs and across, it has democratized exports. Which are the countries that we are seeing the most response from?
Of course, the natural trend is it goes by sort of the purchasing power of the economy and the purchasing power of the people and so on. So naturally, America sort of, United States is the top market. And then you see UK and Germany and Japan and then Canada and Australia. We also see countries where we have traditional trade routes like UAE and Singapore, also sort of a very interesting market because the diaspora is there or just sort of the business relationships are there.
True.
So these are sort of countries that are sort of largely accounting for bulk of this growth.
Yeah, but if I were to ask you about the supply chains, are there any major challenges that you're facing because you're dealing with smaller businesses? And
That's right.
On that count, when I'm asking you that, are there some sort of dialogue and discussions going on with the government of India to maybe tweak the policy to tailor to these kind of export businesses?
That's a very fundamental question, and I'm glad you asked it the way you asked it. Because B2C exports is a very different ball game. I think I was just having a conversation earlier where traditionally B2B exporters is where a few thousand or few 10,000 enterprises at a medium to large scale are doing trade with a few hundred or a few thousand companies across the globe, and they're selling maybe 10, 20, 30,000 products. But B2C commerce has revolutionized the access of selection. And just to give you some statistics from Amazon Global Selling, we have over 1.25 lakh exporters who have been on the global selling program. They have sold, you will not believe, over 26 crore unique types of products to over 200 million plus customers.
All right, an interesting chat with Amazon India and market at all-time highs, Nifty 50. On that note, we'll slip into a short breather now. More news as well as updates on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. A quick look at the market. A Nifty 50 stands tall at 22,160 levels, almost at the record high levels. But on the other hand, the others have also been in line with the kind of gains that Nifty 50 has made. But a few stocks that stand out in the last half an hour of trade come in from the consumption basket. So Nestle as well as Britannia have seen some bit of buying. And on the other hand, TCS, which remember, along with Wipro in Nifty 50 pack, these are the only two IT pack components which have been on the downside. That has seen some bit of buying, and along with Reliance Industries, which has gained and also supported the key index. All right, on that note, keep an eye out on the market. All the other news and updates will be taken forward by Midcap Radar. With that, it's thanks so much for tuning in on Business Lunch from the entire team of Business Lunch. Thanks so much.